¿Qué tal, amigas, amigos? Siempre un placer coincidir al norte del paralelo 49. El día de hoy tenemos la oportunidad de conversar con una mujer que me encanta. Yo estoy segura de que, bueno, nosotros, la comunidad latino-hispano-canadiense, hemos coincidido con ella de diferente manera. Ella es, bueno, miembro del Comité Parlamentario de Finanzas de la Cámara de los Comunes. También es presidenta de la Asociación Parlamentaria Canadá-OTAN. Julie, pues, va a dirigir próximamente la sesión anual de la Asamblea Parlamentaria. Se desempeña como presidenta del Caucus Nacional de Inmigración y Refugio y es vicepresidenta de la sección canadiense de Parlamentarians. Y así puedo seguir toda la tarde con todas esas cosas que hace Julie, pero creo que la que mejor hace, y me atrevo a decirlo porque la he visto, es conectar con nuestra comunidad, y con nuestra comunidad no solamente habla hispana, but with everybody at large. Julie, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's always nice to say hi to you.
Hola, estoy un placer estar aquí con ustedes.
Julie, prior to becoming a member of parliament, you spent more than 20 years in senior level positions in the private sector. So you have a wide vision on both, like the public and the private sectors. How can we ensure nowadays that Canada's prosperity is going to move forward, it's going to be better?
Well, first, thank you for the question. And it's amazing to be here, Sylvia, on your program and speaking to all the listeners that are out there. Look, you're right. I spent about 20 years in the private sector, working for investment banking, biotech. I'll say to you, though, when I was 10 years old, I wanted to be a politician. But I wanted to make sure that I had life experience before I actually ran for office, because I wanted to make sure that I was I had something to contribute in terms of my experience and my education to Canadians. How are we ensuring Canada's and Canadian economy's prosperity moving forward? Well, we are working really hard on making sure that Canadians have the skills and the talent to be able to be world leaders moving forward. So, one, the federal government spending, it's a provincial jurisdiction, but the federal government does a lot of work to make sure that we provide a lot of federal grants and loans to those who want to go to colleges and universities. And we're spending a lot of money investing in the new digital economy. So we're spending a lot of money investing in AI. We're spending a lot of money investing in electric vehicle and the transition into a net zero economy.
No es un secreto que muchos de nosotros estamos teniendo un poco de problemas en el área financiera, ¿no? It's not a secret that nowadays, and it's not only in Canada, but in the whole world, we're kind of struggling with the finance, our financials. So I would like, just something that we have listened before, and it's the plan to guarantee a basic income here in Canada. But how do you think we may implement this?
Okay, so first I just want to say to you, if you look at, so I'm going to agree mostly with you, Sylvia, in terms of the Canadian economy. You're right, all OECD, so your richest countries in the world, all of us are struggling with our economy after the pandemic because we're in a big change of transition. We're in a big transition in the world. We're moving from the industrial economy into the digital economy. Okay, that's why you have robotics and AI. And also because of climate change, we have to decarbonize and move into things like electric vehicles and anything that is going to reduce our emissions globally so that we can keep our temperatures, limit our temperature rising to 1.5 degrees. So, but I would say to you, Canada, from a fiscal position right now, we're in good place. Our job numbers, we're at less than 6% of unemployment. Our balance sheet is pretty good. We've got good business environment, and we've got among the lowest inflation rates in the world. But our productivity levels are not good. Our business investment could be much better. And we see some worrisome trends on the horizons. Okay, trade is changing in the world. We, as Canadians and most Western countries, are going to stop trading as much with China and with, countries that don't share our values. Okay, but you've hit on something that is very critical. Okay, you've mentioned the universal basic income or a guaranteed basic income. One of the biggest transitions we are seeing is we're moving into the digital age. And so what happens is there's going to be many people who will be unemployed during this transition. In all transitions, this always happens. It takes a while for people to reskill, to re-educate themselves. And it's really important for business and government to work together for us to actually be supporting the parts of the population that will no longer have the skill or the talent or the ability to be able to work as we're going through a transition. So I am very passionate and very committed to a guaranteed basic income program as the heart and soul of our social welfare system in Canada. And actually, Sylvia, now we'll be inviting you to come along and we could do another interview on this. But I've been talking to people on Bay Street today, saying to them that we are going to set up discussions, that we are going to make sure that the media and are open to the broader population about how is it. So hearing from the business world, hearing from academics, why is it that a guaranteed basic income program is absolutely necessary as we are transitioning into a new economy, and into the first question you asked, into ensuring that we have a population that is prepared for a prosperous economy moving forward here in Canada. So it's absolutely critical. I'm very passionate about it. I'm very committed to it. And I'm engaging the business sector here in Canada to get behind this idea and to start working with government on how is it that we can actually create a program that will help to transition and support our workers as we move into a new economy.
Now that you mentioned the workers, our kids, Julie, are growing. What would be the route to prepare, well, Canadians for 21st century jobs?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. One of the things I've been talking to our Minister of Employment, Randy Boisseneau, about, I said to him, I said, it is so important for Canadians, so Canadians who live here and new Canadians or new permanent residents that are coming to our country, it's really important for everybody to know what are the skill and labor needs of today and tomorrow. And I've been saying to him that we need to create industry councils where we bring together all three levels of government. We bring together university and colleges, the unions, big business, and we need to bring everybody together and we say, okay, what are the skill and labor needs of today and what is it tomorrow? Because then the university and colleges can prepare those programs. Then our kids will know what programs to be entering as they're finishing high school, because they want to set themselves up for good paying jobs tomorrow. And then also as we have new Canadians coming in, because we need them, Sylvia, our population is not replacing itself, okay? We're having on average just over one child per family, and we are retiring at a very fast rate, okay? Even with robotics and with AI coming on, we are still not replacing ourselves, okay? So it's an excellent question. So right now, what our federal government is doing, the week of October 15, we are doing a very big industry council where we're bringing all the key groups, and we are then going to be telling colleges and universities, the different levels of government, unions, business people, we're all going to work together to say, what is the game plan around our workforce that we want to make sure we have in place, that we are educating to Canadians. And as we have new Canadians come in, we are telling them, where are the jobs? Are there jobs in Sault Ste. Marie, in Windsor, in Halifax, in Vancouver? Where are the jobs so that people can take their families and be able to get settled, have jobs, and be able to start integrating themselves in their new home countries. And for our children, for those who've been Canadians and have been here a long time, that we make sure that we continue to understand where our skill and labor needs. Because, for those of us that are in mid-career, we have to keep on educating ourselves, making sure we are updating ourselves on courses. There's a lot of amazing free courses around the world, Sylvia, places like Harvard and Stanford, free courses. And then also on YouTube, they've got really great little programs and courses that you can keep on improving yourself. I'm taking them, and I encourage everybody to keep on improving their skills, because you always want to make sure you have the skills that are needed that will continue to give you good paying jobs.
Julie, it's so easy nowadays to get information, but is this information reliable? So I would love our community to know your perspective on this information as a modern form of warfare, please. And could also you please share strategies that you are planning, well, the federal government to implement to combat this disinformation now and, of course, in the future?
Sylvia, an excellent question. Too few journalists are asking this question right now, but you are each seeing it firsthand, the impact. So just let's start with definition. Often people talk about misinformation and disinformation. Misinformation is when someone tells you something, but it's incorrect. So someone might say, those two businesses across the street are closing their doors. They went bankrupt. And then you repeat that information because someone told you that, but it's actually not true. They're not closing down. They just went away for 1 month of summer vacation. That is misinformation. You're spreading information that you didn't know is untrue, but you're spreading it, but it's not real. It's not truthful information. This disinformation is more dangerous. It is primarily foreign countries like Russia, India, Iran, China that are actually putting very bad information on social media. They're targeting, they target different countries, and they target information to different countries depending on what your weakness is. And what they do is they're spreading lies. It is intentionally spreading lies in order to cause division, in order to cause chaos, in order to make people think, I don't know what the truth is. And it weakens our democratic institutions. We start thinking, oh, I'm not sure if the media is good anymore. Oh, I don't know if our judicial system is good anymore. Oh, I don't know if our political system is good anymore. So it weakens our democratic institutions, and it weakens our democracy. Okay, that's disinformation. It's very dangerous. They found out the massive Russian interference in the U.S. election in the 2016 election between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Huge amounts of interference. It absolutely had an impact on the outcome of that election, and there were reports on that. In 2020, the U.S. election, they did a big study. There was less impact of disinformation because the Americans at the time put in a lot of controls to actually help educate the Americans and put controls in place to actually get disinformation off the internet. Okay. So that is why they had a fairly clean 2020 election. And I think they're trying to work on the election this year. So as part of my role as chair of Canada NATO, I have started asking all of the other NATO countries how it is that they're tackling disinformation. Then I'm bringing it back to Canada and saying to our prime minister, to our cabinet ministers, and I said, we're not doing enough. So what is it that I'm trying to educate our government, and they want to take action. So some countries, what they do is they set up an independent agency. Okay. In Sweden, it's called the Agency of Psychological Defense. Okay. So whenever there is, in their case, Sweden, disinformation comes in from Russia. So what they do is they have the agency that identifies the disinformation that is broadly infiltrating their country. And what they do is they educate their population. They put out, information on their radios and their TVs. Then what they do is they also educate their population, and from all levels, from grade schools to high schools to the broad population. there's mass communication campaigns. Estonia is doing this, Finland is doing this, Ukraine is doing this, Sweden is doing this. Many countries are doing this. They're having these mass communication campaigns because if you're not educating the public, they're not aware that sometimes that the information they're getting is disinformation. It's completely not true. So having an independent agency to identify it, doing mass education campaigns are two key ways that we can actually help Canadians to understand what is the truth and what is the lies. The other thing we can do, Sylvia, you're directly involved in this, Canada and all countries, we have to continue to fund independent, fact-based Canadian journalism. We have to fund our journalism. We have to make sure that people know where they're to go for credible journalism, credible facts, and it needs to be in all different languages, not just the CBC, but it has to be in all different languages. And, Ahora is, one of those, journalistic channels that we need to continue to fund and support, because if Canadians don't have access to that, we're in big trouble.
Yeah, you are very right. And also because, media is struggling because before we used to share information or to share the news through Facebook, and now Meta is not allowing us to share this. So like it was kind of cutting our wings, and it changed the whole universe, the whole game of how news were delivered, not only here in Canada, but in many, many places.
And I raised that as an issue, by the way, to our minister. I said to her, it's too long. Most people, your Gen Zs and your millennials, get their information through Instagram, actually. Most people get it through Instagram. It used to be people shared information on Facebook, but they can't do that as well. It's a big problem. So we're working on it. We identified that this is a very big issue.
Gracias, Julie. And I always feel so proud when I share this. Of course, Julie Dzerowicz is a proud Canadian, but she has in her heritage, in her blood, in her heart, Mexican roots. So I would like, now that it's this 2024, a very special year for our relation. I mean, like the Canada and Mexico, we're celebrating 80 years of diplomatic relations. And our people-to-people connections, Julie, is undeniable. Canada continues to be Mexico's second biggest source country for visitors. After US, we share so many things: culture, food, commerce, everything. But I would like you to share with us more about your Mexican roots.
Sí, pues soy la única mexicana canadiense en el Parlamento ahora y soy una orgullosa mexicana canadiense. Mi madre nació en un pequeño pueblo que se llama Recodo, cerca de Mazatlán, en el estado de Sinaloa. And she came to Canada, I believe it was in 1969, and she's a very proud Canadian now, but she never forgets her Mexican roots. And she's very happy to see so many new Mexicans coming to Canada as well. And, I always say to everyone, one of the magic things about Canada is you can be a proud Mexican and a proud Canadian, and there's no conflict. You can celebrate your culture and your heritage. And in Canada, we see the diversity of the different cultures, of the Mexicans, of the different Latin American countries, of the other Hispanic countries that come here. We see that as a strength for Canada, because it's diversity is our strength, and we get the best ideas and talents from around the world to contribute to our nation. So yes, I'm very proud. We have a strong relation between Canada and Mexico. We have a strong relation between Canada, US, and Mexico. We have trade agreements. It's never easy, Sylvia. There's always We have such big issues in each of our home countries that we have to resolve, particularly now when the world, there's so much change, and particularly coming out of the pandemic. Many people really suffered. And so we have, many of us are making big changes in our home countries. And, we're working with our partner countries to try to make sure that there is a good understanding, continued good relations, and that we continue to work together where we are strengthening, to the benefit of our country, but also to the mutual benefit of our respective countries as well.
And yeah, we're celebrating 2024, 80 years of this diplomatic relation, but also we celebrate 50 years of the PETAT. That's a temporary agricultural workers program. And I think both countries, we can feel very proud of this. More or less, we're talking about 508,000 agricultural workers who have been placed in Canada since it began, and Prime Minister Trudeau has talked about the relevance of this program, but I would love to hear your opinion about the PETAT.
Yeah, so this has been largely, not 100%, but largely a successful program between Canada and Mexico, where we bring in temporary foreign workers. We bring them as agricultural workers. When I first came in, to be honest, Sylvia, I had a number of workers come and meet me and say that, they didn't know what their rights were, and they felt sometimes they weren't treated very well at their employer. So what I did is I worked with our Minister of Employment at the time, and we put in funding, and this continues to this day. There's funding for nonprofit organizations whose only job is to educate Latin Americans, particularly those that are coming from Mexico, to educate them on their rights and what happens when they are not treated well. And I'm very proud that our government put that in. I'm sad that they had to put it in because that means that it was actually happening. I'm sad that that was the case, but I'm really happy that we've put that in place. Also, during the pandemic, by the way, we saw that some of the rules were restrictive. We saw that, workers weren't treated very well. So the Mexican embassy actually worked very closely with our federal government, and we really improved the rules and the conditions for our workers. We want them to be happy. We feel very lucky that they've chosen Canada to come and to help us out for part of the year, to make sure that we have good food on our table and our families are fed. And we want to make sure that they are treated well. But what we don't want, Sylvia, is we don't want our short-term program to be a alternative path to citizenship to our immigration system. We have an immigration system in Canada. For people who want to become Canadians, the best way for you to actually apply is through that program. And so what I want is, if there are those that want to work temporarily to help us in our agricultural sector, I want them to be treated with respect, to know their rights, and to have safe, healthy working conditions. For those who want to be, there's many, who are, and we see a big influx of like Mexicans and people from Venezuela, people from Argentina, people from right across many Latin American countries who've come to Canada and said, well, we want to make Canada our home. So here's what I would say is there's many legal routes that many people don't know, Sylvia, that they can come. So first, many countries have, it's called International Experience Canada programs. So basically we form an agreement, and for 2 years, if you're between the ages of 18 and 30, and in some countries it's between the ages of 18 and 35, you can come and work in Canada anywhere for 2 years. You don't need a work permit. You don't need a study permit. You can just come. You apply through the International Experience Canada program, and it is an outstanding program. The second thing I would say, and I was in Mexico with our Prime Minister. It would have been, wasn't this January, it was a year ago, January. And I met with many Mexican groups who said, oh, there's some of us that would like to immigrate to Canada. I said, the Canada U.S. Mexico trade agreement actually has a labor section, and that labor section actually opens up many routes for those who have certain skills. If you're a carpenter, if you're in any of the skilled trades, if you're a nurse, if you're in any of the sort of healthcare professions, and there's many other sectors. If you are in any of those sections in our trade agreements, you have a clear pathway to actually apply for permanent residence or for a work permit here in Canada. And I say to people, take the time to look at what are the legal routes to actually to come to Canada, to work here. And if you decide that this is where you want to be and we could use your skills and it's good for you and it's good for us, then you can follow and pursue an application pathway to do so. But I encourage people, there's lots of great pathways to be able to come to Canada, to work here legally, to bring your families, and to apply to become Canadian.
You said it before, like it's the importance of information, the right information, respect, and to find the channel that better applies to ourselves and our goal. And Julie, because we love fiestas, this year we celebrate the third edition of Mexican Day in Toronto. And that's the biggest Mexican fiesta in Canada. And a little bird told me that you were going to be there.
Well, you know, it's interesting. On this Sunday, I'm actually going away, and I'm going away for 2 weeks, and I come directly back for Mexican Independence Day because I'm not missing it. It is an amazing fiesta. It's always so much fun. I'm so proud of the Mexican community here. They work hard. They're like my mother. They work hard. They love their families, and they love to party. They love to have fun. They love to laugh. Because we know, we know how precious life is, and we know how important it is for us to appreciate what we have. And to appreciate that even though we work hard, it's good for us to also relax, enjoy how blessed we are to live in this country, to be amongst our family and friends, and to get a chance to celebrate not only this amazing country, and not only Mexico, but the amazing relations between two countries as well.
Julie, como siempre, es un placer conversar contigo. De verdad que muchísimas gracias. Thank you so much. Is there something else that you would like to add that you think that could be interesting for our friends and followers?
Well, first, gracias a usted también. It's a real pleasure for me to be here as part of the show. I would say 2 key things I would leave to listeners. The first is, look, my mother came here. She loved all the jobs that she has. She loved them. She was in the service sector. She was proud to be in the service sector. She loved every single place that she worked, and she had wonderful experiences. I would say to you, though, I used to bother my mom because I used to say to her, Ma, you could actually earn a lot more money, but you have to keep on improving your English skills. I said, you have to. She didn't know how to write, to be honestly, or write very well. And I said, if you improve that, I could actually get you a job that's twice your salary. But she was very happy to stay in the service sector. And I always tell everybody who is new to Canada, doesn't matter where you come from, whether you come from Bosnia, whether you come from Ukraine, whether you come from Chile, always make sure you're mastering the language. And if you're in Quebec, master your French. If you're in the rest of Canada, master your English. Very, very important to do. The second thing is, in this world that we're living in right now, always find ways to improve yourself. Always. For me, I'm always doing that. How do I become a better speaker? How do I, like right now, there's a big digital economy. It's a whole new world of communicating, Sylvia. How do I better communicate? So I'm really learning how to do better videos, how to really get onto the different channels. And I'm doing that self-improvement myself. And then maybe the last thing I'll leave you with is, I just want to say thank you. I feel really blessed. I think, we have so many Central American, South American, community members come to Canada, decide to make their home here. They work so hard. They contribute to our society. They've made it better. And I just want to say thanks to all of them. I know the sacrifices that you make You make for yourself, you make for your kids and your grandkids, because you want them to be in a country that is stable, that will have a good economy, that will present a good, prosperous future for you and the generations to come. So I just want to say thank you for your contributions to our country. Thank you for working so hard. Thank you for choosing Canada as your home. We're blessed to have you, and I look forward to continuing to be part of the community. I'm proud of the community. We've come such a long way, and I look forward to continue to work with the community as well as to celebrate with the community as we move forward.
Muchísimas gracias, Julie. Y because I love me encanta presumirte, también les quiero comentar que Julie, además de haber sido electa como parte del miembro del Parlamento por Davenport, ha sido la primera mujer en conseguirlo, y en las 2 siguientes elecciones, volvió a ser votada, y eso es por el gran trabajo que haces. Así es que, Julie, thank you so much, and see you at Mexican Day in Toronto, that's September 14. Gracias de corazón.
Gracias y adiós. Bye bye.
Muchísimas gracias a todos por conectarse, y grandes cosas suceden al norte del paralelo 49. Hasta